somewhere in there, and just actually talk about this. I actually have a dialogue instead of just listen to this like as if it's ASMR or something. I know some of you guys do that. You guys are weird. That's fine. I love you too. But this is about elitism, and that's maybe rich coming from me because I'm somebody who I won't play a shooter game if I'm not playing it at 144 FPS on a PC. Yeah, no. But then again, I also do actually, I have perused some mobile FPS. In fact, one of my favorite shooters, I would put it in my top 10, is Snipers vs. Thieves, which is a mobile FPS. It is actually in my top 10. So while I am an elitist, I feel like I'm a proactive and healthy form of elitism. So that's going to be stuff like, okay, if you play Fortnite on mobile, I'm not going to criticize you, but I will say, well, the definitive way to play Fortnite is on PC because, duh, it is. Because you have more control, more freedom in Fortnite's competitive game. And I'm not saying you can't have tournaments on mobile Fortnite. And I can't say, like, it's not bad. It's really good. It's one of the best mobile games out there. But I'm just saying, the definitive version is the PC version. But again, you can play mobile versions, you can play other ports. Dude, I'm somebody who, when I first got into Overwatch, I was playing with a controller on PC, even though I know it's worse. It was actually because I thought it was worse, because it's a challenge and it's fun. And I got my Steam controller, and I did actually a pretty popular video talking about, how Overwatch controls with a controller, and it was cool. It's fun. It's for fun, and you can play games for fun, guys. Some people who are true full elitists kind of forget that. Now, you don't have to play games for fun either. I'm not going to be like that either, okay? I'm not going to be a champion for the casual crowd. Absolutely fucking not. It's not all games are even designed to be fun. Some of them are meant to be trialing. They're meant to be challenged and gamed. That's cool too. But what we're talking about here today is games that can support a casual community, can be played casually, can be one and done, games that have a breadth of players that can live in its universe. And then certain elitists think that there's only one true way to play the game. And already, I think some of you guys are coming to mind certain games, and obviously the gameplay in the background, you can see. So recently I've been talking about action RPGs, and in that, there generally is sort of a learning curve with these games where mechanically, not that difficult at all. Basically one button, just run through shit. But the challenge is in the memorization and the learning of the different builds. So when other players are playing, other people try to give advice, and they look at the video or something, and they're like, "Oh my god, that build is that's just shit. You're not even really playing the game, my dude." Well, I would say, I'm sorry, I'm a little bit sick, but I would say that the games are about experimenting and building and trying different things. And if somebody is doing that, that's not playing the game. Like, just because they didn't look up a guide doesn't mean they're ignoring the game. They're playing it at their own pace. They're doing their own thing. They're having fun. They're experimenting. And I think in the truest way, that is truly how you're supposed to play those games. An RPG is meant to, give you gamification of the role and the progression. And somebody who just looks up a guide and just follows it to a T, and then you're just one button running through the entire game, that's actually debatable if that's even how you really should be playing the game. So, elitists, I don't know, maybe you should just calm down. So, specifically, Path of Exile is a game that I actually attributed to being one of the better games, especially one of the most welcoming communities. And I actually did a top 5 video. I put it as number 1 for fan favorite games, like games that fans love. And I definitely mentioned, like, with this game, with Warframe, you can even look at Diablo, a number of these titles, because they are so complex with their builds and such, you have this really big guide community, and a lot of people try to literally guide newer players and get them into it. I think that these games also do really bad for first impressions. You don't really learn what the Bunny Ears real game is like until the end game. And I can admit that. So that's my positive, proactive elitism, is that there is a second form, a second way to play the game once you actually get to the end. And these titles, generally you do a lot of repetitious content or completely replay the games. And that's something that you have to understand. So there is layers and depth to the game that you don't get to see or permeate until you go like through the game one time at least. And that's just how it is. Okay, so like tell people that. But what's happening is I'm doing videos on these games and people are seeing me play. And this has happened to me at least since Black Desert Online. Or maybe even before that, people kind of made fun of, like, oh my god, you're doing this skill build here, you're getting this item, why are you picking that character in this composition, and, in MOBAs or something like that. So everyone's always going to be a critic. That's fine. Everyone is a critic. And it's fun. It's fun. And it can be truly, honestly helpful. But there definitely is an air of toxicity to people who are brand new to games, that it's really just like on the other side of the coin of these communities. Like, these communities can have such nice, jovial people a part of them, and generally they can be welcoming. But on the greater macro internet, There's a lot of people who are so fanatical about these games, and they play it in their own specific way. And they've replayed the game. They constantly do the end game. They're doing the competitive stuff, and they think that that is the real only game. But they don't realize it's just a part of it. The early game experience, the learning experience, especially for RPGs, in my opinion, is the truest game. Actually, that is the true game. The experimentation, the true progression of you as a player in that role. Imagine that. The genre is called RPG. Yeah, that is the true magic of these games for me. And that's how I played Path of Exile. So I've been doing these footages, which is obviously where I'm coming from here because I get the comments. So I'm playing Path of Exile, and this is how I know it's true elitism and not that I'm just a bad player. Because when you're actually, funny thing, when you guys are actually watching my gameplay on Path of Exile, that gameplay, I've only been using old footage from when I was actually working at some bigger sites like Free MMO Station, and we got paid specifically to play on a press account, which had a developer and a number of developers creating a build in order for me to play and have an easy time playing the game and showing off the mechanics of the game. And it, like, you guys in the comments are making fun of me for having, like, you're calling me noob. You're actually straight up calling me names. You're being straight up toxic. And really, just frankly, you're just saying that I'm not really playing the game. Like, what are you doing? What is even this gameplay? This is not even real gameplay. But this was on a press account with a build designed by the developers. Now, another time, this happened actually with Blade and Soul. Blade and Soul recently, I did a paid promotion. Yes, they paid me a lot of money. And I had a video out and it got mass dislikes. It actually did abysmally, tragically. So I'm sorry, Blade and Soul, that everyone thought that I was a really bad player. But fun fact, I actually had their entire, like they had an entire team to actually watch our videos and make sure that there was no incorrect information. So a lot of people saying that I was just bad and I was just doing things completely wrong and I was lying and stuff like that. Like, what? Misinformation? Actually, no. That was actually like the third or fourth edition of that video. They actually watched it, made sure there was no misinformation. They gave me tips and tricks. They gave me builds. They gave me the items. They did everything for me. And that's how I was able to jump in and just kind of show off the gameplay and the spectacle and talk about it. So Path of Exile, Blade and Soul, a lot of these games that have a very different end game, you're going to see people with this toxic elitism. And I do think elitism can be proactive. I think it can be positive. I really do. Just like what you saw with Total Biscuit, whenever he was reviewing games, talking about FOV sliders, all the different little settings that wasn't quite true full standard for PC yet. And now it, absolutely is getting there and people are more accepting of it. And me, with 144 hertz. If you're trying to play Overwatch at 60 FPS, you're just not competitive. You're just not at all. And you're not really playing the game. You can't really ever play Tracer, just as an example. So yeah, no, I think there is good elitism. But then you have like this prohibitive elitism where it's like, you're not even playing the game. Why are you even playing? What are you doing? Nothing actually constructive there whatsoever. Just really diminishing the player for really, in my opinion, especially these RPGs, really playing the game and actually experimenting and trying. And you know what, guys, there's actually like an entire community of players who go into games, even online games, completely blind. That's how they enjoy playing games. Like MMOs, yeah, you can run through it with a guide, but like, dude, playing RuneScape quests without a guide and actually solving the puzzles feels fucking great. So yeah, it's cool, dude. Like, it's cool to be slow. It's actually totally fine. And in fact, I do it on purpose all the time. Many players do it on purpose all of the time. Your elitism of being the best of the best and being the most efficient, cool. You're playing your game, you're gaming your game, but we're just getting into it. And yes, I know you want to show off that there is a whole new world at the back end of the game. The end game is a whole new game. I know you want to show that, but you need to actually reveal it to us and not just actually diminish and say that, oh, the game you're playing, that's not even the real game. That's nothing. You're not doing nothing. Well, that makes us feel like shit, and it makes us wonder, well, yeah, I mean, in a way, yeah, the game is kind of starting out slow, and I don't really see the full potential of this game, so I guess if I'm not playing it right here, I don't know, maybe I just suck at the game, maybe the game sucks, I have no idea, and no one's willing to teach me, so I'm just gonna peace out. And that's not healthy, guys. Let's not foster that sort of idea. I've really championed these communities. The warframe community has been so great to me in a lot of ways, also been very toxic. It is a double-edged sword, and a lot of people don't want to talk about shit like that. A lot of people think that just because the vocal majority is so positive and hypey and care bearish and, it's very candid, that doesn't mean that it's everything everywhere all the time. There is negativity. And with these games in particular, it's going to find, slip and slide itself into more places than you think. Even like top 10s, I'm talking about a game, hyping it up, top 10, only positivity. And then there's still tons of comments of, yo, what the fuck is your build? You're not even playing the game. You know, what is this, you noob trash? Like, seriously? I'm just trying to throw out positivity into the universe, and the gameplay didn't look that bad, did it? Like, come on, guys. Anyways, so that's what I gotta say. That I think more and more elitism for these games, because they are becoming, you know, more and more in-depth. They're bigger, longer games, so the end game is further out of reach, more complex, which is great. But I think, here we go, this is the solution, which a critic's job isn't to create solutions, but fuck it, I'm a YouTuber and I'm shitposting. I think that these games need better tutorials. They need to be designed better to teach players as they progress and as they actually play through the game. And you know, that can be done through actual challenge, warframe, please and thank you. It can be done through just like I guess a dialogue type of game, like a Path of Exile. Maybe a little bit more dialogue and explanation on how spells interact with each other. I don't know. You could just do that. It might be boring, but you know, the best way would be through actual gameplay. But regardless, you know, the games themselves need to be designed in some way so that it actually teaches players how to be good at the game. Normally these games, though, that I'm talking about, these action RPGs, you do just run through them until you hit a wall. And that is kind of tragic, and I don't think that's a very sexy way of learning and playing the game, just objectively, actually. Next, the community, you're great. All the guides, everything, the guide community, you know, concept, everyone just showing guides, throwing guides, that's really cool. But the double-edged sword is, now everyone thinks you must play with a guide. You can't even start Path of Exile until you've seen 2 hours worth of guides. I don't believe in that. I don't think so. Experimentation is absolutely a part of the game. Even if you don't know what you're doing, even if you do fail, sometimes failure is fun. Look at Dark Souls. That's all I'm saying, guys. So, you know, there is a couple of fronts that we as a community can improve upon, and as well the developers need to kind of step in and spur on their communities. Because remember, these are online games. Warframe and Path of Exile, again, over and over, I like to reference those. They're the popular ones. These are online games, and the communities are a part of the content. Like, they're actually a part of the game, and so they need to do something as well. So yeah, make the games more learnable and teachable, and then also maybe have some community events, maybe throw out some newsletters. I don't know. Do something with the community, and maybe champion those who actually make guides and tips and tricks videos in some way, somehow. I don't know. That'd be pretty cool. But these are online games, and the way you publish and share your game is also important. And Path of Exile really focuses on, you know, showing off different people's builds, showing off all the new items and things, but it has kind of fostered a sort of elitist type of gameplay. And that's going to happen with any esport game as well. You know, it's with MOBAs, with, you know, like Overwatch and CSGO, there's definitely an elitism here and there. You have to do certain things, even though there's freedom to do more. But I'm just saying that even though other games have that, and like fighting games, like honestly, frankly, fighting game, you're not even really playing a fighting game until you at least learn the basic combos and moves. Like if you don't know how to Hadouken in Street Fighter, what the fuck are you doing? That is true. But I'm just saying with RPGs specifically, which aren't mechanically intensive, there isn't anything to memorize in terms of button presses or execution. It's literally just, you have to play the game. You have to play the game, you have to progress, and you have to experiment or look up guides. And I kind of don't like the weight that the community has with that mentality, because to really play the game is to experiment. But it's very hard to experiment because the game doesn't teach you very well. So you have to look up guides. This is, well, I think you're starting to see what kind of makes it fucky. So yeah, I think it's going to take developers and the community together to come together and create multiple solutions for this if you want your games to become more and more popular. And really the only reason that these games are so popular is because of their community, because they are good. So I'm not saying that everyone is elitist, you know, because of all, you know, the Mugamus from Warframe, because of people like Riker for Diablo, stuff like that. These guys making these build guides, these tips and tricks tutorials, these elucidated videos. These are the true champions of the games, you know, and you know, next to just the raw players, the general player base. These content creators are great and amazing, and they've made these games as popular as they are, which is fantastic. And I would love to join their ranks someday with some game. Who knows? Anyways, but I will say that whenever I do pursue content creation,